I literally took one sip of my beverage and the whole side of my face felt like I had a stroke.
Back up a little bit, please.
How can you support your father? How do you support him moving forward?
Justin Bieber's name has always been associated with outrageous celebrity and huge success. He evolved from a kid posting videos online to selling out stadiums, riding the wave from teen hero to a global celebrity, business entrepreneur, and pop culture icon. His life has been publicly displayed through emotional award speeches, documentaries, and candid social media posts. However, the situation is now taking an unexpected turn.
Literally took one sip of my beverage and the whole side of my face felt like I had a stroke.
I got on a plane at 5:30 a.m. So this party, I think half of the people there were butt naked.
Nothing was anticipated in the bombshell case against Sean Diddy Combs, according to court filings. Bieber has formally consented to provide government testimony. This action has the potential to change the public's perception of two of the biggest names in music. Why is this even more astounding? Diddy's typical circle does not include Bieber. He is not a former label executive, security guard, or performer. He comes from a completely different sector of the business. His appearance is therefore causing a stir. Prosecutors are trying to demonstrate that the purportedly sinister aspect of Combs' empire extended beyond the hip-hop community, and Bieber's decision to enter the courtroom demonstrates this. It influenced pop stars and spread throughout the industry.
Well, it's not up to me. It's up to Mr. Combs, and I don't see it happening.
Why?
Because he believes he's innocent. He believes he's innocent, and what's more, he believes that he needs to stand up, not just for himself, for his family, and for everybody who's been targeted by the federal government.
Well, Bill and Sade, accepting a plea agreement would mean that Sean Combs would have to admit to trafficking and forced. And today he made it very clear that was not going to happen. Diddy maintained all along these encounters involved consenting adults and plans to take his chances that a jury agrees.
His evidence might reveal a more extensive network that extended well beyond a single genre. This is where the twist lies. Not every witness is Bieber. His brand exudes integrity, atonement, and spiritual development, things juries are inclined to believe. According to people familiar with the situation, this is not based on rumors. Bieber has already disclosed to prosecutors, behind closed doors, that he was invited to private events when he was only starting to approach maturity. Activities that were presented as networking gatherings or music listening sessions. According to reports, these meetings were fastened to Combs or his immediate group. What actually transpired throughout those events? The prosecution is going to investigate that. Who entered, how it was organized, what the regulations were, and if phones needed to be turned over. Although Bieber did not claim that he was personally affected, his evidence closes significant gaps in the chronology and structure of the proceedings. Here's why it is important. Bieber had no financial repercussions, no previous contracts, and no conflict with Combs. He is therefore a strong, impartial voice in court. No one's comments could strike as hard as his. A unique scenario that does not include royalties, contracts, or old label rivalry is about to be presented to the jury. From the perspective of public image, Bieber's decision to testify immediately captivated the media on both sides. Some admirers are describing it as evidence that he is living up to his recent calls for integrity and moral principles. They cite earlier conversations in which he discussed holding people accountable and purging the sector. However, not everyone is on board. Critics speculate that Bieber may be doing this as a clever strategy to avoid any negative associations before they damage his reputation. One thing is certain, regardless of whether it is a branding strategy or a moral stance. Outside of the courtroom, this surprising connection between one of the top pop musicians and the Department of Justice is making headlines. It is already causing a stir in the legal industry behind the scenes.
Isn't that, to my mind, that's one of the bigger hurdles in selecting a jury this coming week, is that there is, at least anecdotally, when I talk to people, they have that opinion, strongly held opinion, that there's celebrity tapes, that they've kind of conflated Epstein, and you mentioned Ghislaine Maxwell and all of these things into Diddy. There's this idea that somehow this is Epstein redux or something.
What made you come here to support Puff?
I'm supporting Puff because he's innocent, and I'm wholeheartedly believing his innocence, and I know he's innocent. So,
Well, you say you know he's innocent.
1,000%.
Mr. Combs feels A, he's innocent, which is why he's not going to plead guilty. B, he's going to be truthful about this case because he wants to portray that to the people who have loved him his whole life. And I think he also feels an obligation to people in general. Maybe it's black people, maybe it's white people, maybe it's anybody who's ever felt aggrieved and targeted by the government. He feels an obligation to those people to say, you know what, maybe I can break the model. Maybe I can show the world that a black man can win, in federal court. And I think he probably is the only person I know of who might be able to actually accomplish that.
Diddy's defense team is requesting that the court release all of the correspondence between Bieber's attorneys and the prosecution. They want to know if Bieber received any promises in exchange for taking the witness stand, such as immunity, reduced legal liability, or flexible scheduling. In response, prosecutors claimed that Bieber approached them freely and without any conditions. He reached out first, not the other way around, when his name appeared on early guest lists gleaned from confiscated evidence. They claimed that basic coordination and things like timing and travel were the only things provided. In order to resolve the matter, the judge has ordered a confidential examination of the documents to ensure that the government is not concealing anything while simultaneously shielding confidential information from the wider inquiry. By doing this, the defense maintains fairness without giving away too much private information too soon.
And when the judge did, Diddy, who was sitting at the defense table with his attorneys, did not show any signs of emotion. He took a sip of water before he was led out of the courtroom by the U.S. Marshals. Now, his lawyers have vowed to fight this. They are going to be back in court on Wednesday before the judge who will oversee this trial and try to get Diddy to be released.
Now, as far as jury selection goes, I think the biggest takeaway for me is that both sides expect to have all of this done in the matter of 3 days. Now, given just how high profile this trial is, I was kind of stunned that they seem very confident that they will be able to seat a jury in that amount of time.
However, Bieber completely changes the tone of the trial, which is the game changer. The majority of the witnesses up to this point have been former Diddy associates, artists, bodyguards, or executives. Jury may believe that these individuals have a grudge to settle. Bieber, though, he has nothing to benefit from. No old drama, no old deals. His entire career has come from several teams, labels, and financial sources, and things will be different when he enters that courtroom. The entire atmosphere of the courtroom shifts when Bieber takes the stand. It is no longer just about one man's empire. It is about how that empire permeated the core of popular culture around the world. Bieber's memories will be used by prosecutors to demonstrate just how strict the control was. It made no difference what the genre or the year was, from the security at the door to the way these so-called events were organized. It was always the same setup. Bieber's decision to testify was more than just a legal one. It was rooted in a rich personal past. He has had a number of legal issues in the past, many of which made headlines. After all of that, though, he pledged to improve and utilize his notoriety to speak the truth and do good. In his documentaries, he has even used the identical words honest witness. This move, then, that new image fits it. Do not get it wrong, though. He was aware that this could backfire.
What happens is if people go into a trial believing the firepower on the prosecution is so strong, I mean, let's say on a scale of 1 to 100, it's a 95 that it's so strong, but it goes down to an 88. That helps the defense because everybody goes in thinking, wow, they're going to prove this, and they're going to prove this, and they're going to prove this, and all of a sudden, none of it's there. I think that actually helps the defense.
The last hearing before Sean Combs' trial starts, when he walked into federal court today, he appeared to be looking for his family. They've pretty much been at all of the hearings that I've been to, but there was no presence of his sons or his mother or his sister who had previously been at those hearings.
His team bluntly warned him that it would appear far worse if he backed out now and was later subpoenaed. People may believe that you were concealing something. Leaning forward, he took ownership of it. Let us be honest. Bieber has always come out stronger when he has been honest with the people. A series of overlapping studies laid the foundation for his journey to this point. During raids on Diddy's residences early on, detectives took digital guest lists and schedules from applications. Numerous well-known names appeared. In court documents, the majority blacked out. Bieber, though, his name kept coming up in relation to events with names like Private R, SVP, or VIP Acoustic Afterglow. The call went to his reps. The first sit-downs were scheduled in a matter of weeks. According to individuals who were aware of what transpired in those rooms, it was serious but laid back. Prosecutors have little interest in rumor or drama. They were interested in the facts. When they arrived, who arrived? How did security look? Who was the driver? Bieber also brought the invoices. He was able to recall the identities of the drivers, their arrival times, and even the early night music. The trial as a whole might be shaken by that degree of information. Bieber's insane amount of detail, according to the prosecution, lends credibility to their case. Emails and text chains taken directly from Diddy's cruise phones are being used to support his claims. This is not merely rumors. Receipts are piled upon receipts. During the trial, Bieber is expected to testify after all the financial and security specialists, but before the more emotive testimonies of those who claim they were harmed, according to industry insiders. It is a clever arrangement. The jury is first confronted with the money flow, NDAs, strict security regulations, and behind-the-scenes material. Then, all of that behind-the-curtain chatter suddenly has a famous face because, to Bieber, he gives it life. The court then hears the complainant's evidence. The objective? Keep the jury locked in for what is expected to be a protracted, tumultuous, and well-publicized trial.
Do you still think that, because there is this public perception, that there are celebrity tapes involved in this case?
No.
Do you still think that there are minors involved in this case?
I'm certain no.
Okay.
And again, when you say this case, we're talking the criminal case.
The criminal case.
In the
correct.
criminal,
I know that.
In the criminal case,
in
the criminal case, no.
Back up a little bit, please.
How can you support your father? How do you support him moving forward?
Y'all know this is go. Put your hands up.
Holding attention requires a combination of star drama and serious evidence. However, Diddy's defense team knows it is dangerous to take on Bieber. On the one hand, attempting to destroy him might backfire. Jurors may feel as though they are criticizing someone who is merely attempting to act morally if they push things too far. Bieber is renowned for his candor. That might be really beneficial to him. Conversely, the defense must retaliate. They will contend that these gatherings were not illegal simply because they were exclusive and under lockdown. Bieber will likely be grilled on a few important points by Diddy's attorneys. How infrequently he did indeed appear, how little time he spent on FaceTime with Diddy, and if he truly believed that anything was unusual. In an attempt to demonstrate that this is simply standard practice for the A-list and not some covert plot, they may even display images of other celebrity parties that include phone drop stations and NDAs. It is already creating a stir outside the courtroom. In order to prepare for the media attention, Bieber's brand partners are having urgent meetings. They are aware that media clips would go viral as soon as he speaks. Supporters are divided. Some think he is bold, while others fear he is entering a mess. Drama in the comment sections and an increase in streaming numbers are anticipated. Diddy and Bieber, meanwhile, have careers to uphold. Even though Bieber has new music and charitable endeavors planned, he must now cope with the fact that every word of his testimony is being played back, analyzed, and perhaps immortalized. The spotlight in the courtroom changes in only a few minutes. Now that Justin Bieber, a younger music mogul, has sided with the prosecution, Diddy's legal team is frantically trying to deal with the ramifications.
At trial, Combs will ditch the jail garb and wear ordinary clothes, as his lawyers argue the evidence shows consenting adults being intimate in their own way.
We have the latest from federal court in the Sean Combs criminal case. Status of jury selection, what Diddy's going to be wearing, violation of a gag order, rejecting a plea offer.
Diddy's lawyers had argued that he had made good faith efforts by showing up in New York, ready to surrender to face these charges, but prosecutors said that he could not be trusted, that he has a history of trying to intimidate witnesses, including some who are going to be witnesses in this case. They urge the judge to remand him.
The picture of Pop's golden child standing under oath while hip-hop's self-made mogul looks on is a whole new story, even if Bieber does not make any explicit accusations. It is a generational issue. The old guard was criticized by one figure for going too far, and nobody is questioning the buzz. Officials at the court are preparing for the chaos. Overflow rooms, live audio streams for the media, and lottery mechanisms to get a seat are all being discussed. In order to examine every word Bieber says, from name-drop songs to rigorous security protocols, such as the game day commentary at the Super Bowl, legal experts are already blocking off TV time. This is no longer merely a trial. The witness list feels more like a pop chart than a court document, and it is a full-on cultural moment. The prosecution is counting on Bieber's story to bring everything together, reconcile disparate witness statements, and provide the jury with a more comprehensive view, one with distinct patterns, invitations to special events, strict security, covert travel arrangements, and gadgets so strictly prohibited that not even hazy selfies managed to escape. Bieber lived the policy, not simply recited it, and his account of those evenings transforms dull paperwork into scenarios that the jury can witness. Attorneys are putting their plans into action, obtaining party timings, aligning driver records, and creating documents that document Bieber's whereabouts, timing, and methods of travel. Jury consultants are testing behind the scenes how the general public will respond when a world-renowned celebrity takes the witness stand. Fans are also conflicted. While some were excited to see Bieber take the lead, others were anxious about what he might be involved in. Fans and critics are already engaged in an online battle. In essence, there are two distinct narratives colliding beneath the courtroom lights. Bieber maintains the integrity of his brand by being honest and repentant. Diddy insists on the benefit of the doubt while clinging to his reputation. One seeks to demonstrate expansion, while the other seeks to protect an empire. And now, everything comes together in a single, high-stakes battle.
He knows the deck is stacked against him. They've got a ton of evidence. Take the plea deal, dude. Just take it.
Well, my guess is that, because we don't know the deal of the plea deal. At least I don't think we do.
True.
Okay.
The decision guarantees Combs will face trial beginning just 4 days from now that will test whether one of music's most prolific figures used his power, wealth, and fame to exploit both women and men for decades.
Elaborate, sometimes days-long parties by coercing victims through drugs, threats, and manipulation. They claim to have video evidence, and some of the accusations echo details from over 70 civil lawsuits filed against Combs over the last 30 years.
Even the courthouse, which is made of glass, limestone, and grandeur, has changed completely as a result of Bieber's name being featured in headlines. A command center that is less like a courtroom and more like a music festival. The courthouse was completely fortified, with security personnel creating perimeters so tight that a bank would be envious. Everyone was given color-coded badges by credential teams. Pop culture magazines received one hue, while the mainstream press received another. In order to keep the live stream buzz going, docket administrators were working hard within the clerk's chambers, stacking overflow rooms with more screens. The trial calendar received a significant boost behind closed doors as Bieber's cameo approaches, and his streaming numbers surpass primetime TV. Both teams are scrambling to make changes to their playbooks. By connecting Bieber's vivid memories to documents that other witnesses had already established, prosecutors even created a sophisticated narrative bridge. The prosecution loaded time-stamped guest list spreadsheets with RSVPs, VIP shuttle coupons that were coded in neon, and security letters that warned celebrities not to take pictures after the lights went off. All of it was combined with digital forensics that extracted seized servers, chat logs, planner messages, and more. Every ND desk past valet detail and phone-free zone that Bieber disclosed was linked to a smooth line of evidence that directly linked policy documents to his personal experiences. Diddy's team, however, was not dozing off. The same evidence was analyzed by defense strategists who pointed out last-minute guest changes and contended that these lineups were always subject to change. This is not a grand plan. They even created PowerPoint decks that depicted Silicon Valley mixers and Hollywood fundraiser parties, where hush-hush agreements and camera bans are standard practice. their entire commotion? Persuade jurors that stringent admission requirements are not a smoking gun. Done. Their typical A-list cuisine. In an attempt to normalize these procedures, they will play Bieber footage of millionaire parties and fashion company launches, where NDAs are seated by the welcome table. Not shady. Backstage actors are panicking out in the meanwhile. Before the quarterly results decline, music publishing executives are on emergency calls, ready for any impact to their catalogs. They are discussing hedging strategies, releasing songs at different times, pivoting ad buys, and anything else that will allow them to ride the courtroom wave without appearing to be profiting from the drama. Diddy's brand damage management strategy entered phase 3, or provisional distance as PR experts refer to it. No one fully disconnected the plug. These lucrative license agreements do not disappear quickly. However, marketing teams got to work quickly, focusing on the product rather than Diddy the emblem. Faces became more closely cropped. All that crazy nighttime energy gradually gave way to clean, boring minimalism as font sizes shrank, silent but purposeful. Federal teams were planning every second of Bieber's arrival in the meantime. They were aware that this was no ordinary witness. Fan monitoring tools allowed this worldwide superstar to elicit a flash mob at every turn.
Major developments tonight involving the case against Sean Diddy Combs, what he decided in court today, and what this now means, the move coming just 4 days before his trial is set to begin. Here's Aaron Katursky.
Tonight, Sean Combs makes it official. He's rejecting the government's offer to plead guilty and spare himself the possibility of a prolonged term in prison. When asked if he turned down the offer, Combs answered, "Yes, I do, Your Honor," as he stood in a baggy beige jail uniform. Terms were not disclosed, but prosecutors did say a plea could result in a shorter sentence for Combs than if he's convicted.
Federal trafficking, racketeering, and charges beginning Monday morning.